Hello, this is Tiffany, and I know it's been probably about 6 weeks, if not a little more. Yeah, about 6 weeks since my last update, my last video update at least. So I just wanted to hop on quick and update everybody on what's been going on over the last 6.5 weeks or so since my last post. And there's lots to update you on. So hopefully I can get it all done in one video. That is what I'm hoping for. If not, there will be a short, brief second video to follow. But so the last time I spoke to you guys, I was my week 8 update. And so since then, I had a week 9 ultrasound with Dr. Karandi in Illinois, and that was the week of Thanksgiving. That was the Tuesday, the Tuesday prior to Thanksgiving, and the appointment went well. We heard baby's heartbeat again. Mom went with me to that appointment because Paul was working, so and she got a cute little ultrasound pic from tech. She printed her out a picture and it said "I love my grandma" on it. This little Martian at 9 weeks. You can't even make out heads or tails, but she's got it posted on her refrigerator. So what we did find at that appointment, which we found the week before, which I think I told you guys about, was there was a fibroid found in the fundal area, which I just learned about 2 weeks ago is actually the uterus. So in the video, when she says, when I'm asking her about the fibroid, and she says, "Oh, it's okay. It's really magnified, but it's in the fundal area." Like, and I go, "Oh, okay," thinking it's nowhere near the baby. Well, duh, it's in the uterus. So, the fibroid actually grew from week 8 to 9. The first week they found it was week 8, and it was 17 millimeters. Week 9, it was 21 millimeters. And so they assured me not to worry about it. It won't cause any problems. It'll go away on its own. It'll start to shrink, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, had the final closeout appointment with Dr. Karandi down in Illinois, and he released me to my OB here in Wisconsin. I was so ecstatically happy to not be getting up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning to head down to Chicago for ultrasounds. I was just ready to really just throw up on the side of the road. I was so tired of driving. But everything worked out okay. We got released to our OB. They made it perfectly clear that I needed to be seen by my OB within a week of being released from him, which would have been week 10. But the week of Thanksgiving was, of course, probably like everybody else. Sasha, sit down. Was very hectic, and I had decided right after we found out we were pregnant that I was going to host Thanksgiving here at home. And quickly, my parents tried to talk me out of it because they said, "You're just going to be so exhausted by the time Thanksgiving rolls around." And I'm like, "No, it'll be fine." Like 3 hours before everybody was scheduled to show up, I was like really ready to start sending text messages to people to say, "Don't show up. I'll drop Taco Bell off at your house, whatever. I'm just not cooking." And so my husband really, Paul, pulled everything off. I mean, we would not have had Thanksgiving dinner if he didn't do it all, because at that point the extreme nausea and exhaustion was just so rampant. I mean, it was ridiculous. I was sleeping all day. And when I wasn't sleeping, I was hungry, but I couldn't decide what I wanted to eat, and everything that I thought about made me sick, and everything that I smelled made me sick, including what I thought I wanted when it came. So it was really rough, but I made it through dinner. I had a plate of dressing and macaroni and cheese, and that's all I had, even though there was tons of other things served. But we made it through the week of Thanksgiving. Then week 10 rolled around. I had my first OB check. It was about week 10 and a half. It was later in the week. And the issues started arising. We had a really positive first part of the appointment. But I had some problems with the nurse prior to. She kept calling, trying to find out if it was necessary for me to be seen that week. And we find out at the appointment it's because the doctor had just had appendix removed, which had the nurse said the doctor just had surgery, and we were just trying to see who's required for her to be seen this week. I clearly would have just said, no problem, see me when you can, it's not a big deal. I've got this fibroid situation going on, but I don't think it's, terribly pressing that I see her this week. I can see her next week, not a big deal. But that didn't happen. That conversation never happened. The nurse just kept calling me, stressing me out every day, asking me stupid questions about my records and all kinds of things that was just really irritating me. So when we got to the appointment, I was already pissed off, really, because of all the drama with the nurse. And we get to the end of the appointment, and so I've got, standard first pregnancy baby list of questions to ask the doctor. And we're probably about 5 minutes into the questions, and I'm on my last question, which is about fetal Dopplers. And I just asked her, what her professional take on the fetal Dopplers were. Did she recommend them? Did she think they were not beneficial? I mean, what did she think about it? Because I was considering ordering one to have at home, just until we found out the sex of the baby and made sure that we were far enough along in the pregnancy for me to be, I guess, mentally stable enough to not think I needed a Doppler. So she turns to Paul and asks him, am I really going to be this neurotic? And it didn't dawn on me at first when she said it until we got to the car and then we got home. And I was just like, the nerve of her. This is my first baby. No matter how many questions I have, you're the doctor. You're supposed to answer them. And no matter what I ask you that sounds off the wall or stupid, you don't ask a patient's husband how neurotic is she going to be. So at that point I had really already, considering the issues that I had dealt with the nurse that the week prior to, just to keep the appointment scheduled, I had really decided at that point that I was going to start looking for another doctor. And so I did. But in the meantime, a couple days later, I woke up with a pain on my left side. And it was excruciating pain. I mean, not the kind of pain that, obviously not the kind of pain that I felt when I had the ectopic and was, balled up in the floor and thought I was dying kind of pain. But it was painful. I mean, I tried to stand up and I kind of lost my footing and my leg kind of gave out on me, and I felt this shooting pain right up my left side. And I mean, it's scary. You're still not out of the first trimester, so you don't know what the heck is going on. And considering my history, I kind of downplayed it, and I really didn't even mention it to Paul until like the next day, in which case it was really hard for me to even walk at that point. I had a hard time in the shower just trying to like lift my leg and wash my foot. And so I let it linger. At first I kind of thought, well, maybe it's a kidney infection, because I was sucking down so much apple juice at that point, and I really hadn't been drinking a lot of water. And I said, well, I'll flush the water for a couple days and we'll see if it gets better. And 2 days go by, still nothing. So then I go, well, maybe I'm constipated. I haven't had a bowel movement in a while. I mean, I'm like really self-diagnosing all of these ridiculous thoughts in my head instead of just calling the doctor. But my issue at that point was, me and the nurse had gotten into it so frequently already that I didn't even want to call the doctor, which is just stupid. A patient should not feel like they can't call the doctor, they can't call the nurse. And so at this point, it had probably been about a week and a half out from the first night that I had the pain. And I said, this is stupid, forget it. I'm still having the pain, even though it's subsided a little bit. It would subside for one day and then come back really painful the next day. So I did call. The nurse did schedule an ultrasound for me. Turns out the doctor was not going to do the ultrasound. I actually had to go to a different facility to have the ultrasound done. And at that point, I said, okay, forget it. Screw it. I'm changing doctors. I'll have the new doctor schedule the ultrasound. And this was week 12. And so I'm going to stop the video right here. And I think I've got like, 1, 2, 3 more weeks to update you guys on. So sit tight and I'll be right back.